Welcome to the WiEA Pod. Each week we bring you new stories, episodes telling the experiences, the adventures, and the lives of some of the most incredible members of our community. And this week is no different. Thank you to our sponsors, Digital Sparks, who are bringing so much incredible content to so many agents across our industry. We could not do this without you. Welcome to this week's episode of the WiEA Pod. My guest this week on the pod has spent his career across the estate agency sector. He's been an agent, he's been a supplier, and now he has his own business. He's also a podcaster, so today we're going to turn the tables. A final clue is that he is on a mission to be the most useful person to follow in a estate agency. Of course, it is the one and only Simon Gates. Welcome.
Thank you very much. What an introduction.
Yeah, we're pros around here, you know.
Very good. I need to learn from you on that. Very good.
So, Simon, this is an opportunity for us to get to know a bit more about you, because you've spent the last few years getting to know a lot of other people on your podcast. And today might be a little bit different for you because I know you're really comfortable around numbers and data.
Yeah,
we're not going to talk much about that today.
Cool. Okay.
So let's start with, we know you very much as a podcaster and as a very useful person in a estate agency. So tell me a little bit about the younger Simon and what we need to know about the younger Simon that helps us better understand the Simon that we know today.
Oh, wow. The first place my mind went to when you asked that question was I was that kid at school that at the end of year, my mum and dad's parents' evening or my school report would always say, lots of potential, could do better.
Yeah.
I think that used to really, really frustrate my mum particularly, because we'd go to end of term school parties and all the other kids would get raving reports and A grades, and it just wasn't for me. The academic, in terms of reading a textbook, remembering it,
Yeah.
and then sitting an exam, I never revised for exams. It didn't interest me.
Okay, so you didn't care for the subject matter, so therefore you didn't.
No, I think so there was a couple of things maybe I did care about. I'm really interested in history, and I got an A in history at school. So I think it's that in hindsight, you go, well, if you have something you're interested in, you're passionate about it, then you're going to do well for it. But all the other subjects had no interest in, and I thought I was really done with education, which is why I wanted to leave school so early and not go to university.
Yeah.
But then going into my adult life, and particularly into my 20s and now 30s, I learn more and more now than I ever did at school.
I think that's so interesting because I can totally relate to that as well. I wasn't necessarily, I was bright. I went to a grammar school, but I wasn't necessarily passionate about the subject matter. Now I am beyond passionate about learning and developing and growing, even as a, much older woman.
Well, I don't know if I don't really say this publicly, but I was privately educated from the age of 4 to 16. And I think it probably annoyed my parents of all that money that's being spent.
Oh my goodness.
And, they worked incredibly hard to send me to that school.
Yeah.
And then you get to 16, I go, I want to go be an estate agent. And they're like, what a waste of money.
Yeah.
Do you not want to go?
I can totally relate
Yeah,
to
so
that.
do you not want to go to university? My sister was privately educated as well. She's not gone to university. So they must be thinking we spent all this money on that. So I think that was maybe a frustration for them. But yeah, I wanted to get into a estate agency from a young age.
So what was the pull? What was the attraction of estate agency?
My godfather owns an estate agency, and it's one I worked at my whole adult life.
Michael Graham.
Michael Graham, yeah. So quick story on Michael Graham. Originally, when it was founded, I believe it was a gentleman called Michael, a gentleman called Graham. So there is not a Michael Graham. So it used to be funny on appraisals when someone would say, can I have a discount? I know Michael Graham. I'd be like, it doesn't actually exist.
Love that.
Michael and Graham set up a business probably 60 years ago. And my godfather bought it, 25 years ago. It was a small estate agency. He grew it into a dozen branches. And for me, growing up, I would see him wheeler dealer, doing business, nice schools, cars, holidays, houses. And I idolized him.
So was it the lifestyle and what you thought that brought to him from a wealth perspective and a lifestyle, or was it the actual estate agency itself? You
I think there's three things. One, just I idolized him, so it's
Right.
just everything that he did. Second thing was when I was a kid, I used to love like playing Sims, so building houses, designing, creating houses, and he's a property developer as well, so that interested me. And then I would say as well, my dad used to always say when I was younger, and this is very true, on candid.
Right.
Some things are left-handed, some things are right-handed. So I knew I would never be, I don't know, an electrician or a
Yeah,
plumber
your
or a
fine motor
tradesman.
skills were not there.
They definitely weren't there. I was like, well, to be an estate agent, when I observed my godfather, I was like, he's just a really good communicator, and he just does what he says he's going to do. It's like, well, I can do that. I think I love like customer service. I love giving good customer service. I love experiencing good customer service, and I believe that I can hold a conversation. And I've got an interest in the housing market. And when I became an agent, it was in the area I'd grown up in my whole life.
Right.
So I could talk, we had a lot of buyers coming out of London. So I could say, this is a pub for a Sunday dinner. This is where you take your other half on Valentine's. This is a brilliant little rugby club. The schools are here. The train station here. Like, I knew all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really passionate about the area that I'm from. So all those things combined is why I got into
Sure.
that.
So tell us a bit about then your journey. You joined Michael Graham part-time, and then you did that for a couple of years, and then you became full-time. So
Yeah.
and you worked your way up through that business. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, did work experience in summer of 07, then was a weekender from 07 to 09. So experienced the boom to the bus from 16 to 18 years old, which was a really good learning curve for
Good
me.
learning.
Did the classic thing of working my way up the ladder, neg, senior neg, branch manager. Was running a branch for half a dozen years, made profit every year, getting sort of internal awards, winning records, etc. And then I got a phone call from Sam Hunter on January 31st, 2020, and it went like this, and I apologise, Sam, for the accent, but he went, "G'day, mate, do you want a job?" And I went, "Yeah, all right." And he said, "Are you being serious?" I said, "Are you being serious?" I put the phone down, and a few hours later, I emailed my godfather, and I said, "I quit."
Wow, that's a very quick decision. So there must be some more context behind that. You don't make snap decisions like that, I don't think.
Yeah, because I'm a very logical person, very data-driven,
Okay.
that we've already established.
Yeah.
But I think I am an action taker. So when something does feel right in your gut, you've got to do it. And I'd grown to like Sam a lot over a few months that I got to know him. And I just sat there. Have you ever watched the film Jerry Maguire?
Yeah, of course.
I had the Jerry Maguire moment of
Show me the money.
show me the money. And actually, I never credit him for this, but my best friend Nick, shout out to Nick, he is a member of a gym opposite my office.
Yeah.
Long story short, it's a Friday night. I'm sat there working away in the pitch black of January. I've had this phone call from Sam. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to quit." But at this point in time, like, did I dream that? Nick takes a picture of me from the gym upstairs, probably 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and sends it to me. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Of course.
The WhatsApp says something along the lines of, "What the fuck are you doing in the office at 9 o'clock on a Friday night?" And it's at that point I emailed my godfather and said I quit.
Yeah.
And that was the moment telling me that it's like the universe
more
is
to
telling
life.
you.
Yeah.
And I kind of just thought, if it doesn't work out, I think I'm a good enough agent that I can go be an agent again.
Yeah.
But I was like, imagine if I was here in 20 years' time on Newport Pagnell High Street going, what if?
Yeah.
And what's the saying? People regret the things they didn't do, not the things they did do. So that's where I then came out of agency and into supply world.
So you moved to home search, and moving into a data-driven business. Did you know at that point that you were very analytical and very comfortable around data?
Yeah, obsessed with it.
Okay,
Which
so
I think is why Sam
felt natural.
offered me a job.
Yeah.
He could see all the stats
Yeah.
at home search of what I was doing, and I was very numbers driven. So in the office I was running, I had all the access to profit and loss. I knew all the numbers, so I knew like every appraisal booked in my office was worth £1,000.
Yeah.
I knew conversion rates, fees, how much money negotiated from start to finish. Yeah, so I was obsessed with numbers, which I think why home search was such a perfect match, because it was a data-driven guy who knows a state agency.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Sam saw in me.
So how did you find the switch from agent to supplier?
It's a really, really strange one, because within 2 to 3 weeks, we went into lockdown.
Right.
And I didn't quite know what my role would be. So when I joined, I was like, "So what am I doing, Sam?" And I remember being in Canary Wharf, where our office was at the time, on my first day. He's like, "You're kind of going to deal with the North." I went, "What do you mean the North?" because they didn't have anything outside of London at that point.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the world did not exist outside the M25.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean I've got to do with North? So I don't know. I assume I would have been going all around the country saying, look, this is home search. Do you want to use it? That didn't happen because we went into lockdown. So lots of home working for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it was not fun cold calling estate agents, getting told, piss off, go away.
Particularly when they were questioning the future of their own businesses at the time, and they were, you know, battening down the hatches in spend.
Yeah, exactly. And in the end, well, I read 2 books, Key Personal Influence and Oversubscribed by Daniel Precy, I'm a huge fan of. And I was like, why don't I, and I hate saying it, but build a personal brand and try and attract agents to come to me rather than cold calling them.
Yeah.
And that then is where the sort of journey started on personal brand to going on to all the other.
Okay, so I'd really love to delve into that a little bit. So you call it a personal brand, and that's become a phrase that everybody's really comfortable with now. It's become, you know, over the last few years, become very, very important. I guess 5, 6 years ago, it was probably less common to talk about that. How did you then go from ground zero, scratch, to say, okay, I'm now going to build a personal brand?
So it was figuring out where the audience is. So where does your audience hang around before they need you?
Yeah.
There's loads of estate agency Facebook groups. Chris Watkin had one, John Paul had one, Matt Giggs had one, probably a few, Perry Power had one. There were several groups. It's like, well, why don't I just get in those groups, like, comment, friend request these people. And then once you build up a bit of confidence, I then started doing my own posts. And it just built from there, basically. And then all of a sudden you sort of start getting messages from people. When we opened up from COVID and you could start going to events, people are like, hey, Simon, how are you doing? It's like, there's something in this. So I built that confidence and then kept launching things from there. So I think it was in the summer of 22, I launched my podcast. And again, going back to the action thing, it's something I'd toyed with for a while. And I was sat on my patio on a sun lounger drinking a cider. And I went on to Spotify, and within 2 minutes, I'd created a podcast, opening the gates to more listings. And I just messaged a few people for accountability. I said, I've launched a podcast, will you be a guest? And that was the summer of 22. And that's kind of where the personal brand really then accelerated.
So the podcast gave you the confidence that this personal brand thing, you'd be able to continue it. So at what point did you decide, okay, so I'm now going to step away from effectively the security of a job into creating your own business? Because that's a big leap, and a lot of people have made that leap over the last few years. And that's, you're jumping out of your comfort zone, right? It's where what you know and are good at. So why? And how did that come about?
So with the next 6 months after launching the podcast, I kept getting messages from agents saying, can we book you for consultancy? I was like, well, I've got a job. Like, you can deal with me if you sign up to this platform. But when we're not interested in sending letters, or we're not interested, we want to spend some time with you. Okay, that's interesting. And then just before Christmas in 2022, shout out to a very good friend of mine, James Kendall. We had lunch in the Bull in Oney, and I remember him like put his knife and fork down. He went, when are you going to quit your job and start a consultancy business? What the hell are you talking about? He said, I'll be a client. And he was one of my very first clients, still a client today, and a very good friend. And yeah, that was just before Christmas. Now, he badgered me every day in January. Have you done it yet? Have you quit? Have you quit? Have you quit? And I kept using every excuse. And the main excuse was, I've got a mortgage that comes to an end in 6 months' time. Well, I'm not going to have any pay slips. How can I possibly renew a mortgage? He said, well, speak to your mortgage broker. Long story short, mortgage broker says, we're Santander. They don't need to see proof. Just click a button, done. As simple as that.
Transfer.
Yeah, product transfer. Obviously, you know from from your background, of course you do. But what was a really interesting point, I don't know why I said this, but I remember doing a webinar whilst I was still at Home Search. And I chucked out some line, which was like, 2023 is a year of action. And that was to like try and motivate agents. But actually, I was talking to myself in the mirror. And between Christmas and New Year, 22 to 23, you know, when everyone has had this moment where they wake up after a heavy night of drinking and go, I'm never drinking again.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
And I'd drunk loads over that Christmas, spent a lot of money socialising. And at Home Search, I think from memory, you don't get paid. You got paid before Christmas.
Right,
yes. It's a very long, like 6 weeks to the end of January.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't feel great, no money in my bank account. And I went, I'm just going to stop drinking. And Louise, my other half, said, well, we just wait till New Year's. I was like, no, but everyone does New Year's resolutions. Why? I'll just start now. And by the end of January, I had so much clarity from not drinking. And then, yeah, I just walked downstairs on the 31st of January, 5:30, and said to Louise, sorry, it was the Friday before, I said, one payday, I'm quitting my job. And she went, what's happened? And it goes back to your point earlier. I went, I don't know, just decided I need to do it. And then, yeah, I went the whole of 2023. I cut alcohol out because I was like, not that I had an issue with it, but as I was getting older, those few drinks on a Friday night all of a sudden go into the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I was like, if this needs to be or I want it to be a success, I can't have any distractions. You need to be so focused on it. So I was just blinkered for it. So yeah, didn't drink that whole year. Back on the booze now, but yeah, and the business grew from there, and just about to celebrate 3 years.
Amazing, yeah, fantastic. And I mean, I know you work with our business, so I know the impact that you have with so many businesses. I'm really interested in your mission statement, which you talk about quite a bit. So when did the mission? Was that right at the start of that journey, or has that evolved over time?
So it's a weird one because I take it back 15 years ago, joined a new golf club, and I got introduced, and it was something along the lines of shiny suit, clipboard, don't trust him.
Estate agent, yeah.
Estate agent is what the people said, not another fucking estate agent is what they said. And kind of a light bulb went off me there, and there's something called the Veracity Index that comes out every year, and estate agents have been in it since 2014, and basically a third of the public trust estate agents. And I wanted to change that perception when I was an estate agent. But I think over time, from when that would have been 2010, so my early years as an agent, all the way through, it's like, this is really hard to do it one sale at a time. There's others, you're one step forward, and then others are not doing the job properly, and you're 2 steps back. And then I got mentored by Matt Giggs in 2018.
Through Agents Together, or
No,
some
so shout out to Helen Rumble, my work mum. She was the secretary at the office. She used to work with Matt at Countrywide. And she said, you're wasted here. Matt would be amazing for you. And I followed him on socials, reached out to him, when I got mentored by him, paid out my own pocket, took holiday. And I didn't realise there was VAT that had to be paid as well. The bill was already a lot. Ouch. It was a lot more VAT, which I couldn't claim back. And Matt opened my eyes. He made me believe in myself where I was maybe a bit lost. And then I was going on lots of different coaching, from Julian O'Dell to Stephen Brown, to name a couple of people, following Perry Power, Sean Newman, Sanjay Gandhi. And I'd go back to the office to my negotiators and say, this is what I've learned. And a colleague of mine, Magda, said to me, why don't you go train estate agents? You're so good at taking this information and then giving it back to us. And I remember walking my dogs that day around the lake near my house going, there's something in that. I really like learning. I really like imparting that. What is it they say, don't just learn, teach it, and then you learn it twice?
Absolutely.
Is that the saying?
It is. Well, because at school, for example, when they're absorbing information, that is only, and they can regurgitate it, that's only level 1 of learning.
Yeah. Okay.
They test whether kids fully understand something, because then they'll ask them to teach their peer group, their friends, or their in the class, and that's really making sure that it is completely embedded. So exactly that principle.
So that's what that was, and I think again that just planted a seed in my mind. And then when the opportunity arose with Home Search, I was like, I feel that I can make a bigger impact on the trust of estate agents, because rather than it being one sale at a time, I thought Home Search was going to go crazy. And I was like, well, I could be dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of estate agents.
Yeah.
And then when I was opening the gates of business, the mission statement to become the most useful person to follow for UK estate agents. So not to be on a mission. So it's on a mission to become. So that mission will continue. I don't think I'll ever get there. I want to continuously learn, and I don't think you're ever a finished article. So it's constantly learning, both inside and outside of the industry. So I go up and down the country, learning all sorts of things, so I can then impart that knowledge to the agents.
And I love that, because I often see you, we joke when we see each other at events, because we're both pretty decent networkers, and we often, it's a key part of this sector, or any sector, I think, but it's a people orientated business and industry, and therefore if you're not out talking to people, then you're not really part of it. But I love that you are constant, even as somebody who is delivering training and learning and education to others, you're constantly absorbing that yourself, and you're always going to different events and see speakers. I love that, and I'm a big fan of that too. One of the things that really frustrates me about the UK estate agency industry is that agents see training as almost punitive. They don't see that they don't seek it, because it's almost like it's a consequence of per performance, and that's how it's been framed in so many businesses. And why do you think we're not generally as open to learning and developing and training as other countries are? For example, think of Australia, where people like Tom Panos are, gods, because they help the industry. I don't think there's that culture here.
Yeah, I think in other parts of the world, obviously self-employed agency is more normal.
Yeah.
And it's a going thing. So it's the agent owning the business in their own interest to kind of pay out their own pocket to learn, I would say.
Yeah.
I asked this question a lot of whose responsibility is it? Is it the employer? Is it the employee?
Yeah.
And I've read something recently in a book by Jake Humphrey and Damien Hughes, who I went to see speak recently. You've got 3 levels. I think you've got a job, you've got a career, you've got a calling.
Right.
And I really struggled this way in my 2 jobs, because I treated each job as if it was my own business within a business, whereas others would treat it as a job, which has obviously nothing wrong with. Turn up at 9, go at 5, take an hour's holiday, take all your holiday.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. Others want it as a career. They can go up the ladder and work their way. But estate agency for me has always been a calling, as cringy as that sounds. And it definitely is. So I'm just absolutely obsessed with it. In terms of the question on, I think from my own estate agency experience, I remember, like, I'd say 2 training sessions we maybe had. I mean, there would have been other types of training, but it felt like training was a punishment, to your point. Yeah. It really did. And the mood in the room, it would be, and I'll share a story actually on this, but it would be this in the room. What's this guy going to teach us? We know what we're doing. That would be it. And I remember going to a Right Move, I don't know what you'd call it, seminar. And I had voluntarily signed up, and I was taking a negotiator of mine who was young, naive, impressionable, wet behind the ears, had lots of potential. So, right, you come into this Right Move seminar, sit down at this table, this round table, and the first thing we're greeted with is this guy nudged me arm. Who sent you here? What are you on about? It's like, what, you came here off your own? Yeah. What are you going to learn today? And it was funny because a gentleman, I think Daniel Beret, I think Canadian guy, who's at Rightmove for several years, he then gets up and he says, right, we've mystery shopped everyone in the room. And that guy went like this. Oh my God, no. And he said, basically, he sent in a Rightmove inquiry to view a property. It identified that there was a house to sell in area. And it's like, right, what percentage of you replied to the lead? And it was like 80-something% didn't even reply.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, this is rubbish. Like, at this point, I'm like, we're so hot on this. So I get back to the office because I'm not believing the research. Yeah. We did reply, but we didn't reply within an hour. I think it took like an hour and 5 minutes. And my colleague didn't identify the sale opportunity and they didn't answer the questions. I was just like, what the hell is the state of the estate agency is that it's there on a plate. And we moan about fees and various things. So I'm rambling on and going off a bit of tangent to your question, but I think because it's drilled in that it's such a punishment, people don't put themselves forward. But then at the same time, I think it's just so British to want to feel comfortable. Whereas in America, I always look at America, they don't mind to look stupid. They don't care if they've got a failed business, they'll go again. Whereas if you have a business fail in this country, it's only contrast in me had a business that failed.
And people jump on that. There's something British about, whenever you do fail. And that's not helpful to grow and flourish. Just going back to the point on comfort zone, actually, because you must have been had some level of nervousness stepping away from a career that you were incredibly good at and stepping into kind of creating your own business. How did that feel? Was that uncomfortable for you, or did it feel like a natural progression?
So I'd say in February 2020, when I was in that month of gardening leave, of leaving the estate agency to join Home Search, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? You're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? You're throwing this career away. And there's plenty of tearful moments when I was like
questioning yourself,
really questioning myself. And it was a brilliant decision. It was an amazing few years at Home Search. And then when I started,
in hindsight, right?
In hindsight, yeah, starting opening the gates, it's crazy because in the hindsight, I mean, I don't know what was going through my mind in the February. Again, it's really weird how these timings work because I quit estate agent. I handed in my notice on the 31st of March, 2020. Then in 2023, it was the 31st of March. And I've launched I just joined Home Search on the 1st of March. I started my business on the 1st of March. So some weird,
the
like,
universes,
yeah.
That's a good day for you then.
They're good. They're good dates for me. And yeah, I should have been absolutely bricking it when I left the comfort of employment to go do my own thing. But I was having this conversation on WhatsApp with someone earlier where it's just like, I went into it with the firm belief of, I'm going to give this 100%. And I think too many people do go into things going, it might not work.
If it doesn't work,
yeah,
I've got this as a
and
backup.
the saying is, if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. Is that it? Yeah.
That's exactly it.
And that was my thing was, I think I can do this. And sure, you are nervous of, I've just been telling a lot of agents, particularly ones who are self-employed for the last 3 years, this is how to lead gen.
Yeah.
This is how to build a business in a estate agency. If I go out and do it and fail, I look like a fraud.
Yeah.
So that's why I work tirelessly and continue to do so, to say, well, I'm proving myself that I've built clients myself, and I'm telling you, this is how I've built a business from scratch. This is how you can do it, because I built a business myself, but I've then got the estate agency experience to talk about the ins and outs and know-how of that as well. But yeah, in hindsight, I should have been a lot more scared, because it was, I don't know, I would have had a few months worth of money in my bank account. But the benefit I had was I could start earning money straight away. Obviously, in most models, if you start an estate agency and you sell a house day one, you're probably not getting paid for 6 months.
Exactly, at least.
I had the luxury of, I had a few people who said, yes, I'll commit. So I was like, okay, there's some money coming in there.
Yeah, that definitely helps. So in terms of, it can't all have been plain sailing, can't all have been, worked perfectly. What sort of challenges have you faced over the last few years, particularly in running your own business?
I think two things come to mind when you say that. It's really, really hard to switch off.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say suffer, because I got coached by Professor Damien Hughes and he switched my mind on this. It's not suffering with imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome actually can be a good thing if you know how to use it. But every day I just think, the rug's going to get pulled from underneath me here. Everyone's just going to stop working with me. And I'll get found out that I'm a fraud. Like, that just goes on sometimes I'll go to sleep going, it's
a chimp on your shoulder.
Yeah, and it's weird you say it again on the way down here, reading a chapter in a book about Professor Steve Peters from Chimp Paradox. Brilliant book. I wish I'd read that before I did. It must be 2017 I read that. Right. And that was incredible. And I saw him speak last year at the Property Market Conference, I think. Which was brilliant.
He's phenomenal.
He's brilliant. And so yeah, I think I'm constantly thinking this is all just gonna. Yeah. But I think it's that, I know that, go back to the caveman times, if you've got to have that little bit of fear. Yeah. Otherwise you're gonna get eaten by the saber
and do it anyway, right?
Tiger. Yeah. I think the kind of, I don't know if this is unique to me or if I've like stolen it from somewhere, but my kind of thing of it is, you imagine it's the middle of winter and you've got no heating in your house. You need a fire to keep it warm, right? If you don't have that fire, well, it's just, you're gonna die from freezing cold, right? Yeah. And if there's too much fire, the house burns down. You need a little bit of fire to keep you safe. So that's that kind of the fear there.
I've sort of framed imposter syndrome now because throughout my career, I've
heard you talk about
a lot.
It. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But I definitely frame it now in a different way, which is, it's important because it keeps you humble. It's humility. Yeah. It's not having that, well, of course I can do everything. It's that little bit of doubt that just makes you go, well, I'm going to make sure I prep it. Yeah. I'm going to make sure I'm really, really, I've done all my homework, I've done my research, and I'm prepped to do it rather than just winging it. So it just keeps you humble. It's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of the people I've come across, particularly in the estate agency, that humility, being modest, learn-it-alls, not know-it-alls. Yeah. So like having, working with yourself and Yopa, working with the likes of Vicky Barberis and Location, Spencer Lawrence at Paramount. It's like, these are like phenomenal people in the industry. Like, what can I teach them? But They're the loveliest people who are open to continue learning.
I guess that's the whole point that sort of takes us back to where we were earlier. You have to be open to learning, because once you get to the point that you think, oh, I know it all, I can't learn anything, that's the point that you go backwards. I just can't accept that.
And a point on that is something, I can't remember the name of the study, it's something I talk about a lot, is that every year that goes by, your learning becomes outdated. You need to do 250 hours of learning every year
just to stay static.
Yeah. So call that 1 hour a day, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Well, in a state agency, for me anyway, when you're out on viewings and vows and whatnot, you're probably in your car for an hour a day.
Yeah.
Typically. So
listen to a podcast.
Listen to podcasts. It's quite funny. I've heard Rory Sutherland speak about it before. He's like, if you'd said to someone in the 1990s, you can have all the music in the world, like on a device, of Spotify, Apple, whatever. Yeah, even with all of that now, people listen to podcasts in the car rather than music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm always finding moments to try and listen to podcasts, from walking the dogs,
Me too.
On the train, in the car. When my dishwasher broke, I genuinely haven't replaced my dishwasher because I actually find it quite therapeutic to wash the dishes listening to a podcast.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we're running out of time, so I'm going to move to the final topic, really, which is a bit about, we are on the WiEA Pod, so we need to talk about WiEA. You have attended our conference, and you've been a supporter of the WiEA movement. So I suppose my question to you is, from your perspective as a male in industry and have lived your career in the industry, what's your observation of how the movement of equality has evolved in the last 10, 15 years?
So I think I will have a similar answer to what I've heard Ben Madden talk about quite a few times. And I say that because I didn't realise there was an issue.
Yeah.
Because my first ever branch manager was an incredibly powerful female called Michelle. She scared the hell out of me. I got absolutely ripped to shreds by two negotiators, Angela and Magda. They ran rings around me when I was younger. Brilliant estate agents. And then one of my best ever managers was a lady called Karen. And she was the only female actually in a 12 branch organisation running a branch, but she was phenomenal. So going through my career, I'd seen strong, powerful women,
role models,
smashing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe a few years ago when I see the WiEA movement start, I'm like, well, what's that all about? But attending the conferences, well, not conferences, speaking to all the women and understanding more about it, it's made me realise the issues that are still out there.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that I've won the birth lottery in terms of being born a white man in England. So I appreciate that I've opened so many more opportunities just because of that.
Yeah.
So I want to see
birthright.
Yeah. So I want to see more diversity, not just from women, but from different ethnicities.
Absolutely.
And I'm really passionate about representing the different age group as well, because we are, as an industry, known as male, pale and stale, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's some incredible people, whether it's male or female, white, black, in their 20s, early 30s, who are absolutely smashing it. And I think they need to have a bigger voice. I would love to see more women and more diversity and younger people up on stage, giving that representation. So that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, thank you. And we genuinely appreciate the support. And, you know, we talk about this a lot, that unless you have walked in someone's shoes, you can't really empathize. You might think you can, but you can't really. And it's only when we educate people about the unconscious, quite often bias that there is, that they start to go, okay, I never thought about it like that before. So, you know, unfortunately, it means that we have to keep talking and keep educating and keep repeating. But if that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. So, you know, we're here to, until we don't need to talk about it anymore, we're here to continue that message. So we have our final closing tradition. We're not quite Stephen Bartlett, but we have a closing tradition on this podcast, which is we ask you to nominate the next person to sit on that chair. So who would you like to nominate?
So I would like to nominate a good friend of mine called Kieran Witt, who is the co-founder of Catini.
Oh yes, I'm familiar with. I don't know Kieran, but I'm familiar with
Catini. I've recently had Kieran on my podcast, and I've got to know him really well. And the guy, like, you know, when there's someone who's quiet in the corner, but when they speak, you listen. They know what they're talking about, and he knows his stuff inside out. And yeah, he's got an incredible story, which is very, very motivating. So I definitely think you should get Kieran in the hot seat.
Amazing. We shall reach out to Kieran. Thank you, Simon. Thank you
You're
for putting yourself in a vulnerable position today, because we didn't talk one number. So I genuinely appreciate it, and we genuinely appreciate your ongoing support for the WiEA movement. Thank you. And we'll see you at Not Conference.
You will indeed.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the WiEA Pod, and we'll see you next week.